Hey everyone, I'm Cappy, and welcome to Beyond the Plate. This is a podcast where we sit down with the world's culinary elite to explore their journey into the food industry and the social impact they have made in their communities. If you're new to the pod, welcome. If you've listened before, we're so glad you're back. Today's episode, we sit down with someone whose 10 million plus YouTube subscribers love watching him have fun with food. But it's not all laughs. This is a guy who's been very open with his audience about his personal challenges like mental health. But as he says,
it wasn't until I hit my lowest point that I actually figured it out. It's funny how life, sometimes your lowest moments can yield your highest.
That was Andrew Ray of Babish Culinary Universe. Let's go Beyond the Plate. For our audio tests, we like to have our guests name 5 of something. So for you, let's just name 5 dishes or ingredients that you're obsessed with right now.
Okay, 5 dishes or ingredients I'm obsessed with. I love Calabrian chilies. I love they're having a moment right now. Let's see. Confit anything. Confit garlic, confit tomatoes. I'm counting that as 2. Garlic scapes are a lot of fun. I haven't figured out yet how to rock them, but I really like them. And cauliflower. I'm putting cauliflower in everything, including my smoothies in the morning.
Love it. You sound great. Let's do it. Today's guest may mostly be known by the pseudonym Babish. He's a cook, author, and is best known for his YouTube channel, Babish Culinary Universe, home of Binging with Babish, Basics with Babish, and Botched by Babish. Probably more that I'm not naming. Plus, he has his own cookware line. This guy does it all. His approachable style and high production value helped his channel amass millions, and I mean millions, of subscribers, making him a major force in the culinary world. Please enjoy this episode as we go beyond the plate with Andrew Ray. Thank you for joining us, Andrew.
Thanks so much for having me, man.
Good to have you. Okay, I just want to dive right in because I'm fascinated with your journey. Can you tell me the origins of Binging with Babish, particularly the name?
Well, binge watching is something that I've always done almost involuntarily. I put on TV shows and movies like their music in the background. I can't help myself. So I picked the name of the show pretty arbitrarily. My Reddit handle was Oliver Babish, which is a character in 8 episodes of The West Wing, portrayed by Oliver Platt. And I love alliteration. So I was just I'll call it Binging with Babish. Why not? I'm making this for Reddit. This will be fun. That's how we ended up here today.
So cool. So this moment struck me. Take me back to this moment in 2016. You're living with a friend in Queens. You're on their couch. I want to know what's going on in your mind. What's going on in your life at that time?
Well, actually, when I was in Queens, I was actually living with my wife, who I would break up with in the process of the first few episodes. So by the time you see when I changed kitchens, I think it's around episode 6, I'm going through a divorce. It was prior to that, the creation of the show was born out of depression and creative stagnation. I was working in the post-production industry, which was really cool, but it was not the part of the field that I wanted to be involved in. I wanted to be creating things, not just altering things. I wanted to be able to make movies. I wanted to be able to make music videos, anything. And I had just poured myself into a massive documentary project that lasted a year and a half. I got paid $4,000 for it, and it went nowhere, and it just cratered me. I was so down, and I thought, I have nothing to say. I'm never going to make my mark in this industry. And then this is on the public record, so I'm comfortable talking about this, but mushrooms played a big role in changing that, where I actually went to my therapist under the influence of mushrooms. I shot the shit with him for a second to show him I was cognizant and aware, and then I was like, hey, so I'm tripping face right now. You know what to do. A few pointed questions that I was suddenly able to answer honestly, because, you lie to yourself so much. I'm still discovering that 10 years later in therapy. And I was ready to make some drastic changes. So I got divorced and I moved in with my friend in Harlem.
Do you think if you weren't on mushrooms in that therapy session, there would have been a fully different outcome?
Yeah, because I had been going to therapy for years before that, and nothing like that happened. So it was instrumental. I think that psychedelics can be powerful therapeutic tools if used properly. I was definitely playing it fast and loose. I was doing it without my therapist's knowledge, and can't recommend that. But at the time, you couldn't do above board psychedelic therapy. Nowadays, there are in some states places where you can explore that in a legal and controlled way. And I think that that's fantastic because it can be life altering. It can give you an entirely new perspective.
Really interesting. So is that $4,000 you made from that documentary, the $4,000 you used to purchase your equipment?
No, I took out a loan to do that. I was deeply in debt. I was probably $40K in debt between credit cards I opened to pay for stuff for the wedding, the divorce, that cost some money, and just generally not being good with money at all and never having saved and never having not lived paycheck to paycheck. As my income grew, so did my spending habits. I've never been responsible or wise with money, so I found myself saddled with quite a bit of debt. I think it was just shy of $50,000. So I had taken out a loan to buy that stuff. I had added to that pile, and very luckily, within a year of making the show, I was starting to make money with it. So that was very helpful.
And that's the equipment you used for the smoothie that you made?
Yep, that was, it was a Sony A7S Mark III, a little, what kind of lens was it? It was Zeiss's cheapest 35 millimeter lens, which I think, even though it's Zeiss, I think it's only like $200 some odd. I bought a microphone, which I ended up using to do the voiceover, and a single light. It was an Aputure LS1C, which at the time was the most powerful LED light that you could buy at the cheapest price point.
And so you filmed this video of you making a smoothie and you unintentionally cut off your face?
I wouldn't say unintentionally. I wanted to try to find an angle that I could sustainably film from. Like, it's very hard to make a cooking show by yourself. And that angle I'm very proud of, because I think it helps democratize the creation of cooking content, because that angle enables people to make their own cooking content with nobody else. If you're doing top down, hands and pans, that's really hard. You need a really stable rig that is, way high up above your head, and you can't shake it. And any of your actions, chopping, mixing, can't shake the camera. It has to be completely divorced from your table. So it's like totally inaccessible for most home cooks. And then forget multicam, like traditional, that requires multiple people. The torso shot across the table, as long as you got a kitchen island, you're good to go.
I love this. All right. This is fascinating. I want to take a step back. You grew up in New York, yeah?
Western New York, Rochester.
What kind of kid was Andrew Ray?
Troubled. I was pretty happy-go-lucky until my mother passed away when I was 11, and me and my dad were left to our own devices. And at the time, we did not have a very great relationship. We were cats and dogs. We have a much better relationship now, I should say. We've become very close. But at the time, we were at odds. He was heartbroken and devastated, and I was beside myself and not understanding and not processing what was happening. So my grades tanked. I didn't make any friends. This happened right when I started middle school, so I just didn't have any friends. I was becoming very asocial. I was failing in my classes, and I was headed to a dark place. And this is a longer answer than you probably asked for.
No, man. I appreciate you sharing it.
But luckily, in 9th grade, we used my college savings that actually came from my mother's funeral. In lieu of flowers, please donate to Andy's college fund. And we used that to send me to a private school called the Harley School, which is a magical place. They have a Center for Mindfulness and Empathy and Education. Like, they literally try to inject empathy into their curriculum. They have a hospice course. It's a year-long course. First half is learning about the process of death and dying, and the second half is actually going and working in hospices. And like, you're paired with somebody who's going to die. So part of the class is experiencing somebody dying. And needless to say, that's transformative as well. And it was the thing that helped me finally start to confront and reckon with what had happened. I had just been sort of pushing it down and away, and that really changed my life. So I'm very grateful that my dad did that, and it totally changed the course that I was headed in.
Wow. Do you have siblings?
I have one older brother, yes.
But you had this connection with mom. You cooked with her, yeah?
Yeah, she taught me how to. I was young. I was 9, 8. I was doing the mixing, making a mess, and then taking credit for it at the dinner table. That was a little shit. But she loved me like crazy. I only found this out a couple of years ago, that I was diagnosed with ADHD. And at the time, drugs were horrible. They were either Ritalin or worse. And this was like 1995. I don't even think Ritalin was out at that point. But like, the drugs were evil and terrible, and they didn't want to put me on drugs. So she was working very hard to create systems for me to understand and learn things in the way just my brain worked. So of course, when she passed away, that too went out the window. So I was at odds. Luckily, it turned around. Very grateful.
Incredible. And I guess safe to say this is where your love of food started?
Yes. She made all of our meals. She was a stay-at-home mom. She maintained a beautiful home and just made everything from scratch. And actually, 2 birthdays ago, my family gave me all of her recipes. Not all of them, but like as many recipe cards as they could get together. And they put them in a binder. And I'm excited to start recreating some stuff from that.
That's so cool. I love that. So why were films so important to you?
Well, Well, I always say I have my dad's eye and my mom's heart, and also her culinary and his aesthetic. Whew, that word escaped me. He was a photojournalist. He's retired now, but he was both a photojournalist and a professor of photojournalism at Rochester Institute of Technology. He has had photos on the front page of ESPN, and he's done stuff for Le Mans, F1 over in France. He and I have traveled together to Africa and Haiti to do nonprofit work together. He's a very talented photographer. And so that is what originally sort of got me into it when I was really young. He gave me a 35 millimeter camera. I still have it downstairs, and I would just putz around with that. Eventually, once we got a home camcorder, it became film. And that was right around the age that I started getting to watch like the better movies in the world, because I was, 11. So I'm able to start watching PG-13 movies, and it really opened my perspective and showed me just how powerful movies and TV shows can be. I remember renting Mystic River over and over again because it would make me weep. I didn't understand this at the time, but I was like feeling something for the first time. I was feeling a new emotion, and I was obsessed with it. So I like movies like that, 21 Grams, The Real Devastators. I was nuts about them because they were turning on new parts of me.
Interesting. Now, let's take a step back. When you say renting, you mean like at Blockbuster, yes?
Oh, yeah. No, I was born in 87. So yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, not Blockbuster so much as Mendon Video, which was our local video store, which used to be a thing for all of you youngins out there listening. It was my dream job to work there, and they never hired me.
Interesting. But it's pretty cool that you were able to marry like this film and food, essentially, your film and cooking.
Yeah, I mean, it took me 30 years to figure it out. And I hope people take heart in that, because it's never too late. Like, I thought I knew my passions, and I thought I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life for so long. It wasn't until I hit my lowest point that I actually figured it out. So, it's funny how life, sometimes your lowest moments can yield your highest. Anyway, I'm giving you way more obtuse answers than you're asking for.
No, this is great, man. This is great. I love it. Keep it up. Was there a specific film or moment that sticks like in your memory around food?
Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was a formative food moment for me. I mean, not only was Chilean sea bass apparently almost fished into extinction after its mention in Jurassic Park, but also just like when those kids, Spielberg really knows how to do it, man. When those kids go through that hell overnight with the dinosaurs and getting electrocuted and getting stomped and being chased and all this horrible stuff. And then they walk into that sort of foyer, and there's just cakes and pies, ice cream, and just the works laid out. There's something so, I don't know, I want it so bad. There's something that you just want to jump through the screen and be those kids for a minute, because I think we've all had that moment in our lives where we've had like just the worst day, maybe not as bad as those kids had, but the worst day. And then at the end of the day, you have this really beautiful hot meal, and it just turns everything around. And that scene was like that on steroids.
Yeah, totally. So you're self-taught. Was culinary school like ever in the picture?
In high school, I was kind of deciding between culinary school, acting school, because I was in all the school plays and stuff, and I fancied myself an actor, and film school. And I think genuinely I didn't go to culinary school because I thought genuinely I was hot shit. Like I thought I was a really great cook, and I was not. And so I think that was just pure ego. But I was very torn between film and acting school. And I was like, it sounds way too hard to make it as an actor. I'll try to make it as a filmmaker. That'll be easier.
Okay. So you graduate college, you have a couple jobs in the film industry. You mentioned you buy all this equipment, eventually create this Binging with Babish show, the whole YouTube channel. For those living under a rock, please tell us about Binging with Babish and the Babish culinary universe, like how it was born, whatever we didn't mention, like some of the details for all the peeps.
Well, I'll reiterate a little bit of what I said before, that I was in a very dark place. I was very depressed. I was creatively stifled. Or just creatively burnt out, I guess. I felt like I had nothing left. I started to go to therapy, and I got on the right meds, and that sort of opened up some bandwidth. And with that bandwidth, I decided to try and make something myself. I wasn't sure what it was, but I knew I loved food. I loved cooking. So I was like, maybe I can get into food photography or something like that. And I was obsessed with getting to the top of the food subreddit. For anybody who's not familiar with Reddit, there's subreddits for every imaginable interest, and one of them is food. It's a very popular subreddit, so it was a huge high to like post what I made for dinner last night with a pithy title and for it to get 20,000 upvotes and hundreds of comments. And it was this incredible sort of feeling of pseudo community. I was addicted to reaching the top of the food subreddit. So the show was actually genuinely born as an effort to reach that. I wanted to post it to Reddit food. In fact, if you watch the first episode, you'll hear me say, "Hey, what's up, Reddit food?" I changed that to "Hey, what's up, guys?" But that was the original intention. So it was born of creative stagnation, depression, and a desire to reach out and connect with this community that I had found. So that magical combination, I decided to take a risk and add to my already giant, fetid, steaming pile of debt and get myself a camera and a lens and a mic and a light and just see what I could make. The very first thing I made was, as you mentioned, was the smoothie, where I just made a smoothie out of what was in the fridge. I was just testing a camera angle, really. Then from there, I was trying to decide, what am I going to make next? I need to make something actually tasty now to maybe post somewhere. And I was, like I mentioned, I background watch TV shows. They just are on all the time. And Parks and Rec was on. And it happened to be the episode where Ron and Chris were having a burger cook-off to see if Chris could make a turkey burger better than a beef burger, which of course is impossible. And I was like, maybe I'll try making that. Chris's burger was pretty well described. Let me see if I can remember it off the top of my head. A something Hills organic turkey, Taleggio cheese crisp, black truffle aioli, papaya chutney on a gluten-free brioche bun. I think those were all the elements. So I was like, okay, I'll make all that stuff and mash it together, see what it tastes like. I did. It was good. I've made it again since, and I don't think it was as good as I thought it was when I first had it. I don't know if my palate's changed, but it was like, yeah, this is a mishmash. This is comedy writers coming up with like fancy sounding stuff and mashing it together. From there, that was the very first episode. I never intended to make more than one. It was just a creative exercise and something to post to Reddit, but people liked it. It got 20,000 some odd views, and people started asking for what they wanted to see next. They were like, can you make the timpano from Big Night? That was what came next.
Wow, that's wild. So it gets 20,000 views and then it probably gets 100,000 and you get to 1 million. And are you like, what the fuck? Like, what is that feeling like?
I mean, I didn't crack 1 million views this is an incredibly short amount of time, but it was probably like, I think 8-9 months. And it still feels surreal whenever a video cracks 1 million views. Like, it still feels incredible. I don't understand it. I don't feel like I deserve it. It's my imposter syndrome constantly grinding, but it's thrilling. It's absolutely thrilling to know that many people felt like this is worth watching. And yeah, the first few episodes got a few 10s, 20, 30,000 views. And then first big windfall was the Moist Maker from Friends, Ross's preferred Thanksgiving leftover sandwich. I made a whole Thanksgiving dinner from scratch just to make this sandwich, which I think people really enjoyed. And it ended up getting like 600,000 views. And that's when I was like, okay, I got something here. I need to start making this every day. Or not every day, every week. I need to make this every week. And that's when I started making it with regularity instead of just when I could. It would have been another 8 months after that, I quit my job because I was starting to make more money off YouTube than I was making at my day job. So that was the sort of progression.
I mean, when did you realize you had this full-fledged brand?
My best friend, business partner, Sawyer Jacobs, we've been friends since 9th grade. Since I moved to that new school, we became friends. He has become my full-fledged partner. He's now the CEO of Binge Entertainment, or Binge Media rather, which is our new company name. And he saw this as a brand well before I did. He, like, first couple episodes, he was like, you got a 100-year brand on your hands here. And I was like, get out of here, you weirdo. Lo and behold, he was right. This is a real brand with staying power. And so he recognized it well before I did. I didn't really think of it as a brand outside of myself. I always just thought of Babish as just me. I didn't really think of it as a brand until we started getting sponsorships from like blue chip companies and from people that I had always dreamed of working with. And when John Favreau had me come on his show and vice versa, that sort of showed me like, hey, you got something here. This isn't just an after school activity. This isn't just an extracurricular time filler. This is your calling. This is what you're going to be doing.
So cool. I forgot to tell you, and before I forget again, I actually just got your wok.
Oh, cool.
Your Babish wok. Yeah. We had Kenji Lopez on the podcast like many seasons ago, and it was right when his wok cookbook was coming out. And so he was given like the perfect wok to get. And I've had it in my notepad on my phone for like over a year, like buy wok, flat bottom, carbon steel, whatever. And finally I'm like, fuck it, I just got to buy one. And like yours was one of the first ones that popped up. And I'm like, wow, this one looks legit. This was pre, this arrangement on the podcast. And yeah, man.
I hope it's served you well. Those are now available in every Walmart. Another thing that just blows my mind that you could buy my wok in any Walmart.
Hey everyone, there's more of a conversation with Andrew Ray, also known as Babish, after we make a quick pit stop at the bar. We're doing something fun this season with our friends at Ford's Gin, and they're creating custom recipes based on the episode you're listening to right now. We're happy to be back with Joe Brook, Trade Advocacy Manager for Ford's Gin in Los Angeles. He created a drink inspired by binging with Babish and Andrew Ray's love of TV and film. Joe, what deliciousness do you have for us?
So this one's a bit of an obvious shot because I don't know if you've seen The Bear yet, but it's sort of this equal parts love note and therapy session for anyone who's worked in the service industry. I haven't even finished the third season yet because I'm so stressed out by it, but this is a show that absolutely captures that moment. I know that the show is pretty big on capturing sort of what the drink would be or what the food would be. I wanted to come up with something that paid respect to that feeling in the kitchen. And the most important spot in the kitchen is Expo, especially if it's French service, or rather it's like the brigade system sort of calling everything out. And so I created the Expo Collins for all the wonderful chefs and angry Expo people that I grew up under. So the ingredients, it's going to be 2 parts Ford's Gin, 1 part cucumber simple syrup. All you need to do is juice a cucumber in a auger or a centrifugal juicer, and then by weight, equal parts sugar, 1 part fresh squeezed lemon juice, and then around 2 to 3 parts soda water, because you got to stay hydrated. 8 to 10 lemon verbena leaves. You want something nice and citrusy and bright. And then 2 pinches diamond crystal kosher salt. Not only are you always going to find that in the kitchen, you got to get those electrolytes back in. So once you have your ingredients, you're going to take a deli cup. You're going to add all the liquids except the soda water, add the lemon verbena leaves, muddle those, add ice, top with soda, give it a quick stir, and then put a top on the cup. There's no garnish. You're going to cut an X in the middle of the top. You're going to push a straw in. And we suggest you're going to drink it over the course of 3 full turns of the dining room.
Oh, that's fun. Taking some inspiration from Babish's love of TV to create a cocktail. Love it. And using a good old deli cup too. I'll take it.
Actually, wait, you might want to garnish it with a yes chef.
I love it. To get the recipe for this cocktail, check out the episode notes in your podcast player. To learn more about Ford's Gin, go to fordsgin.com and follow them on social media at Ford's Gin. Please drink responsibly. Ford's London Dry Gin, 45% ABV, Brown Forman, Louisville, Kentucky. Ford's Gin is a registered trademark. Ford's Gin, shake up the journey. How do you choose which dish you want to make? And follow up, has there ever been one that's like just completely stumped you?
Oh, there's so many that have stumped me. There's one that's stumping me right now. It used to be, what do I want to make this week? Because there was the width and breadth of all of media to choose from. But now I've done hundreds of, I think I'm up to like 600 episodes now. It's slimmer and slimmer pickings. So I rely more and more, as I always have, on the audience asking me or telling me what they want to see next. And that includes what I'm trying to shoot right now, which is pizza flavored cake and cake flavored pizza from Gravity Falls, which I had never seen Gravity Falls, so I wouldn't have known that existed without my audience, so I appreciate that. Since the beginning, I've relied on my audience to tell me what they want to see. Even Big Night, Timpano, like I wouldn't have thought to make that. I'd only seen Timpano once back in like film school. I loved it, but I had forgotten the food in it. So even stuff like that, they've been indispensable in the creation of the content. So pizza flavored cake and cake flavored pizza is giving me a run for my money right now. It's very, very hard to make a pizza into a cake form factor.
Yeah. I'm trying to process it because I love the good challenge of what that would look like. I just watched the burger, your last one. You posted the burger one with Nick.
Oh, yeah.
Or the burger flavored pizza. Was that what it was?
I walked into that knowing I was going to lose. Like, I was just like, Nick's a way better cook than I am. He was like a finalist on MasterChef. He's been chef in Michelin-starred restaurants. Like, I'm a poseur. And so I was like, he's going to do some kind of deconstructed craziness. I'm just going to go in there and just see if I can turn the physical ingredients of a burger into a pizza. Turns out, can't.
His was pretty good, the dehydrated or freeze-dried ingredients. You were explaining how many videos you did and you had a slip up. You said 1 a day. You meant 1 a week, which you corrected yourself, which my next thing I wanted to mention was your workload, like, and how it's shifted over the years. Can you share like what that looks like? I know it's been a thing and burnout's been a thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Back in 2022, I had a full-on mental breakdown. I checked myself into rehab, both to just sort of come back down to earth and also to deal with a trauma that took place during this breakdown. Leading up to that, I had been making 2 episodes a week, just binging in basics, which are shows that I need to shoot, that I need to edit, and then I need to do voiceover on them. I still edit them because it's just the most efficient way to do it. And that workload plus a bunch of other factors that I won't go into just spun me out really hard. And I felt like I was learning how to do life all over again from scratch after that. I felt like I was rebuilding myself from the ground up. I still feel that way sometimes. As a result, we've hired out a bunch of people. We have a whole team of 8 amazing people here now whose responsibilities range from coordination, shopping, kitchen preparation and recipe writing to shooting, editing, coming up with new content. And as a result, it's got my work hours down to much more human weekly hours. I think in the years leading up to that breakdown in 22, I was working anywhere from 80 to 120 hours a week, every week. And it's because I loved what I was doing. I was making a lot of money doing it, and I was becoming famous. Like, I don't think I was doing anything wrong. It was not sustainable, clearly. So now I'm working, 50 hours a week, 40. I'm working normal human hours, which I really appreciate that this team has come together to enable that.
It's so incredible. You mentioned you listen to your viewers in creating new recipes and whatnot, but I think at this point, I was seeing how your viewers were mentioning that they saw you falling into this depression. Like, you knew that at the time, yes?
Which stage are we talking about here?
You mentioned 2022, but I also know there was like a moment when you were trying to reach 10 million subscribers or something, and the viewership had slowed.
Viewership was still at a fever pitch back in 22. It was definitely going down from 2020. The halcyon days were COVID because I was locked in my house with nothing to do but work. And I was already working however many hours a week. And now it was just like licensed to just go nuts. And so I was going crazy and still putting out 2 episodes a week during COVID. And then the world started turning again, and conference calls started happening and meetings and all the million things that go into running a business. I continued at that pace, mostly because viewership was incredible and I didn't want to lose it. I didn't want to alienate people. I didn't want to lower my output. And that led to the big spin out. And then a number of factors have caused viewership to be down over the past 2 years. My leaving the channel for a month didn't help. My coming back and only making 1 video every other week, that didn't help. And then now the algorithm has changed drastically. The algorithm is determining the content rather than the other way around, which is a bummer. Length, title, thumbnail, these are the things that have become new priorities for YouTube creators. And you'll notice that the last thing on that list is the content itself. You want the longest video possible. You want the grabbiest thumbnail. You want the most clicky kind of single subject oriented title. It's something that we've tried to respond to by sticking to our original tenets. That is production value, positivity, information, and entertainment. But we've also tried to respond to it by making new kinds of content like ranking, where I try every kind of X, every kind of jarred pizza or pasta sauce, every kind of frozen pizza. Today, literally after this, we're going to be doing every canned soup. I'm actually kind of looking forward to. Some of these really don't go easy on the body, so this one's not going to be too bad. We've tried to evolve with the platform as one must do. It's been a double-edged sword because these ranking videos get the biggest viewership because they're long, they're fun, and people like just putting them on. And the algorithm favors that. It pushes you to the top of the pile of recommended and next up videos. And by that same token, like literally the top post on my subreddit right now is about people saying that they miss the old days of the channel and talking about how they don't like what I'm doing now. They wish that I was doing binging, even though I'm still doing binging. It's like they don't know that I'm still doing it. And binging doesn't get the viewership that it used to. It just doesn't. So yeah, we are trying to evolve as a company that doesn't fully rely on YouTube for our sources of income, hence the cookware line, hence books, hence we have just released a THC-infused sugar that is available in New York and Arizona dispensaries right now. We're putting the finishing touches on the Bed and Babish, which is our first hospitality play. Very ill-advised. I built it from scratch. Shouldn't have done that, but it's been 3 years. It's almost done. I just went and checked it out this past weekend. It's on the...
Where is it?
It's up in Catskills in near Narrowsburg, New York. It's about 2.5 hours north of the city. I went up there a few years ago, just fell in love with just the idea of having a beautiful little place in the woods near a darling little main street with gourmet shops and all that stuff. We're on the 5-yard line now. It's just a matter of getting the appliances hooked up and furniture and all that good stuff.
How many rooms?
It's 2 bedrooms and... Well, it's going to be a flex 3 because it's hard to describe. Picture the Ex Machina house. It's like slabs of glass and it's sandwiched between a foundation and the roof and it's flat. And the structure is in two pieces. There's the main structure where there's bedroom, and in between the two are the kitchen, living room, dining room, all one just, space. And then to the left of that, there's a separate square that is going to be a theater that I'm very excited about. That it's going to be a flex third bedroom, but also it's going to be a light-locked theater that has different movies and TV shows and video games in their original formats. So Seinfeld on VHS, Gladiator on DVD, N64 with 4 controllers and a dozen games. Like, just because I've been to a couple Airbnbs where they have like a Nintendo Switch, and I'm not going to play that. Like, that, it's weird. It's somebody else that's got their account on it and stuff. Like, I want to give people that really nostalgic analog feeling, but also it's going to be a badass theater that really blows the walls off if you want to watch modern movies on an Apple TV.
That's so cool. Are you partnering with someone like to operate it and stuff like that?
Yeah, no, I haven't found that operating partner yet. That's going to be something that we do in the coming month, but we're going to need an especially involved partner because another huge aspect of this Airbnb is that it's for foodies. Much bigger than the theater, you might say. I don't know why I just talked about the theater. The bigger aspect is that this is a vacation rental for foodies, and we want to have a la carte options to have groceries waiting for you in the fridge to make this and this dish, or fully cooked meals. There's a place nearby that makes heat and eat meals, like really nice gourmet heat and eat meals that we can just have waiting in the fridge. And since I have my own cookware line, the kitchen's going to be stacked with every tool you could possibly need, sharp and fresh and ready to go. Something that I have literally never seen in an Airbnb. Even if it's got a chef's kitchen with a, Gaggenau stove and stainless steel everything, you open the cupboards and there's one Tefal aluminum pan and a global knife so dull that you could run it across your tongue.
But don't try that.
Don't try that, but you could, but don't do it. That being said, I want to create the anti-vacation rental kitchen. This is the kitchen of your dreams that you can go and stay in and enjoy in the woods.
That's so cool. I'm glad we hit that. I want to touch upon social impact and giving back. You have this incredibly large platform, and as listeners of Beyond the Plate know, we celebrate that with all of our guests, whether it's a chef, restaurateur, food personality, content creator, whomever. Learning how everybody does it is what keeps us going, whether it's a certain cause, whether it's a certain organization, whatever it may be. And I know you've raised a significant amount of money for various charities through your platform. And I would love for you to just touch upon any of the causes that are closest to your heart or ones you've supported or how you do it with the brand.
Absolutely. Yeah. So St. Jude, I've raised a lot of money for various causes. There's a charity auction happening right now where you can win a virtual cooking experience with me to benefit St. Jude. Just because they're such a fantastic organization, they've been the primary focus of my public fundraising. Offline, I really should share this more, but it feels like I'm bragging or something. So I haven't shared like the things that I donate to, which is stupid. I really should just like post about it. But there's a great organization based out of Rochester called the Ugandan Water Project. They build wells in Uganda. Each one makes water accessible for something like 400 people, and I've built a few wells with them. They're a fantastic little boutique organization. For each well that you build, they send you pictures of the well itself and the townspeople or the school that it's feeding into, and you get a really sort of personalized experience with where your money's going and how. Less of a charitable thing and more of just an awareness thing. I try to be very open about mental health and encouraging people to seek therapy and treatment in the ways that they need, and being forthcoming about my experiences with depression, anxiety, and ADHD, and all the other stuff that I've tangled with over the years. And really just trying to build and maintain a sense of positive community online. Like, it's a rare air that we get to breathe where our engagement and our audience isn't built off of attack or gossip or any of the other things that make so many other platforms thrive, like Twitter as a whole. It's a great point of pride for me. And it's not charitable, obviously. It's just something that it's my prime directive to keep this well clean and wonderful to drink from.
That's really awesome, man. And I appreciate you sharing that. There's topics that I hesitate to talk about because I'm like, is the guest over talking about this, or are they open about talking about it? And everything you've touched upon as it relates to mental health and whatnot, I didn't know if you're going to be like, I got to talk about this again, but you've been incredibly insightful and open and honest about it. And I can assure you that someone listening to this, it will resonate with.
Well, I mean, as long as we're on the subject, and just because I skimmed over it earlier, I will mention that the trauma that I experienced was I was sexually assaulted in a hospital. I skimmed over it because I don't want to talk about it because I'm still processing it. But at the same time, I've mentioned it in a couple interviews, and every time I've done it, people have come out of the woodwork saying, I went through something similar, and hearing that you did makes me feel more comfortable about talking about it and facing it. And especially with men, like we're closed books and we shouldn't be. Male tenderness is important. I want people to know that it's okay and that it doesn't make you less of a person if you've gone through something like that. It's been very challenging to reckon with, but it's also a part of who I am now. And that's okay.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I appreciate you sharing that. I always say this, but I'll say it again for anyone listening. Share or give what you can. Like when it comes to philanthropy or charity or social impact, it could be your voice, it could be your money, and it could be your time. You don't have to have all the money in the world to be able to do something good in the community or to help others. You could have 100 followers on a social media platform, but one of those followers may see something that you care about and it may make a difference. And, on the time front, it could be 30 minutes a month volunteering at an organization that's meaningful to you and your community. So I always like to mention that. And again, Andrew, thanks for sharing all that.
Of course. Yeah. And that's a great thing to encourage. Giving back, it lights up a part of yourself that normally can be pretty dormant. It obviously, it serves everyone around you, but it also serves you. It really can be transformative.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's something I used to do was, St. Joe's Soup Kitchen in West Village. I haven't done it in a while because I don't live near there anymore, but it's something I used to do with regularity. And working in a soup kitchen is both fun and it really, really makes a difference for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't talk about it as much, or I'll just say brag. I'm using the word brag about the good you do in the community. But
my fear is virtue signaling. I don't want to be like, look how good I am. But it is important to share the things that you do to make the world a slightly better place because it begets others to do so. So yeah, thank you for making that part of your interview.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. All right, let's do a quick speed round and then we'll close it out.
Cool.
Number 1, what did you have for dinner last night?
I went to Kame last night to have some tonkotsu ramen, and it was pretty fantastic.
Amazing. Name a smell in the kitchen you love.
Well, the easy answer is garlic and onion. The hard answer is like a dark brown roux. It's got a very unique scent to it that...
Nice. Name a smell in the kitchen you hate.
Oh, cilantro all the way.
Do you have the gene where you can't eat it or just
Yes.
not? You do?
Yes. And I have a tattoo to that effect. This shirt won't allow me, but it's growing out of my armpit.
So funny. One kitchen gadget you cannot live without.
Kitchen gadgets I can't live without. Is a microplane a gadget? Not really.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, tool, utensil, gadget.
Okay, you know what? Actually, I've been using this more and more. I think the brand is Chef Weight, but a weight of some kind.
That press thing?
Yeah, Chef Press. That's it. Just anything to weigh food down. I'm discovering that is like really helpful in getting a really good crust on stuff.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool. Is there a dream collab in the kitchen for you?
Ooh, so many. I've already been able to have some of my dream collabs come true, which is incredible. Like I've had Kenji on my show, and growing up, one of my heroes was Alton Brown. I'd love to do something with Alton Brown.
Do people tell you sound like him a little or no?
People tell me that I have a similar delivery, like a cadence to the way I talk.
I was watching a bunch of videos. I was like, that's what it is.
I think it got planted and it blossomed into who I am as a person. So having him on the show would be incredible.
And last one, your favorite late night snack?
Oh, well, it's the exact same thing every time. I am a cannabis user. This is my little comfort zone I put myself in after I've had a jazz cigarette. I have a bar of anywhere from 55 to 75% dark chocolate and a jar of peanut butter. And I will get a big ripping spoonful of that peanut butter and I will grab a couple squares of that chocolate and I will make Reese's peanut butter cups in my mouth.
Smooth or crunchy peanut butter?
Smooth, especially because crunchy peanut butter is never actually crunchy. It's chunky. It's never like crunchy. I've only ever once had one peanut butter that was actually lives up to the word crunchy. And that was because it had sugar, like sugar crystals in it. But smooth peanut butter for sure.
Got it. All right. Closing it out. What 3 words do you think your friends would use to describe you?
That's a tough question, man, because I don't want to say anything nice about myself because then I'm like, oh, you egoic piece of shit. Okay. I think they would describe me as nervous, kind, great in bed.
There you go. Wait, do you get nervous before you shoot still? Or
not really, because it's in my house. It's like where I live. Like it is one of the more familiar places for me. But like going on stage or going on a just we're in my house, but still, giving an interview, I still get nervous. Yeah, I have anxiety.
What 3 words would you use to describe yourself?
Nervous,
great in bed, and
great in bed, and curious.
I wanted to ask, we've talked a lot about this already, but if you want to add anything on before we leave, I want to ask what's next for you in the Babish culinary universe.
I've touched on pretty much everything that's coming. I am working on my next cookbook. I've just started writing it. It's going to be a few years, so don't get excited.
A few years because that's how long the process is for you, or a few years because the theme or topics of it?
Both. I really wrote my last 2 books from experience. So it was just like, here, I know how to make this. I'm going to write this recipe. I know how to make this. And now I'm trying to tackle stuff that I don't have as good a working knowledge of, and I need a working knowledge of it if I'm going to teach others how to do it. So working on that. The Bed and Babish should be opening up for reservations by the end of the year. Our THC-infused sugar is available in stores now. We're working on a Delta 9 version that can be shipped nationwide.
And is that only to bake with, or can you like stir a spoon into coffee?
You can do whatever you want with it. It's not heat proof, but it's heat resistant. THC can denature at certain temperatures, but it's totally safe to bake with. You can make brownies. It'll be fine. You could just eat it straight if you wanted to. We are working on some other iterations. It's right over here. This is the Delta 9 sugar. I need to test this out to make sure I like it before it goes out. We've also got some olive oil. We got some hot honey. And these are still in the testing phase. I don't know if we're going to bring them to market, but they've sent me a bunch of different food products that they can integrate the THC into seamlessly and flavorlessly. So I'm testing them out and see if I like them. But yeah, we're looking to expand our foothold in that industry as much as we can. Oh, big one. This October, me and the entire BCU crew are going to Japan, and we're going to be making a myriad content of recreating scenes from movies and TV shows and anime, and exploring the country and putting me in some serious fish out of water scenarios, because I don't speak Japanese. I've never been to Japan, and this is going to be entirely new experience for me. I'm very excited.
That's incredible. How long are you guys going for?
We're shooting for 10 days. Various people are going for more or less. I'm going to be there for a total of 21 days. I'm going to be there for 3 weeks.
That's amazing.
I'm stoked.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, man. I'll let you go. You got soup to taste, but appreciate your time. This was great. Like I said, I appreciate your openness and honesty and authenticity and all that. And I really jazzed to keep watching your trajectory and journey.
Well, thanks so much, man. And thank you for having me. And thank you for your great, informed, and thoughtful questions. It was a great interview. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too, man. Bye.
Thanks again to Andrew Ray. Find him on Instagram at Binging with Babish or his website, babi.sh. To learn more about St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, go to stjude.org. And to learn more about the Ugandan Water Project, go to ugandanwaterproject.com. We'll share links in the episode notes and at beyondtheplatepodcast.com. This episode was produced by myself, along with Ian Cohen, Joel Yetton, and Sean Petrosian. Our digital media producer is Sarah McClellan-Mee. Our music has been composed by Goldford. Find him at iGoldford. As always, special shout out to my wife, Katie. If you have not started following me yet, you should. Find me across all social media at OnCappy's Plate, or go to beyondtheplatepodcast.com and keep up to date with Beyond the Plate. Beyond the Plate is also on social at BT Plate Podcast. If you have a moment, we'd be grateful of your support by rating, reviewing, and even hitting that subscribe button to the podcast. Don't forget to join us next Wednesday for an episode of Beyond the Drink, our companion podcast to Beyond the Plate, brought to you by our friends at Ford's Gin. Thank you for listening to Beyond the Plate. I'm Cappy, and remember, there are never too many cooks in the kitchen.